Isn't it crazy how we can talk forever and before the show even starts?
It's true though. I mean,
John Cena. Me saying I respect John Cena and he's top 10.
But sometimes you be taking it too far though. Like Roman Reigns,
He is top 10.
He's not taking off John Cena's spot. He can take off somebody else's spot.
Okay, I said John Cena's top 10. I said I respect him. I'm not saying anything else.
Pains you that much, doesn't it?
It doesn't make me happy.
I don't think I've ever. Let me see if I ever disliked a wrestler. No, I've never disliked a wrestler like that before. Honestly, like I've never.
I don't dislike him. I said he gets on my nerves.
I've never felt that way though. I never felt that way about a certain wrestler.
I dislike Roman Reigns, the big dog. I disliked him.
Yeah, but I love the Tribal Chief.
I think a lot of people did though. A lot of people did though. Yeah. But he did pretty much the same thing though. He had a character change that he needed. He needed that change. You know what I'm saying? Like Roman Reigns now is
the best thing in wrestling. Better
than he's ever been. I mean, so it's like now he's in the spot where everybody's like, oh no, this is where Roman could have been. You know what I mean? But at least you admit it. You're not biased. You know, some fans don't want to admit it, but I respect you for being honest.
I'm gonna tell the truth. It doesn't make me happy, but I'm gonna tell the truth.
He's out there.
Anybody who says John Cena is not top 10 is they're not being logical.
Oh, that's facts. That's facts. What's going on, everybody? You know, this is Boy Narcos 194. It came a leak back here again with another special podcast on the late called the Late Show. I guess you can call it. What's up, everybody? See everybody comment in the chat. I'm just looking at this. I hated heel Edge. So who didn't? Come on now, my generation. Edge was not liked.
We all hated Edge as kids, man.
Edge was not liked at all by anybody, especially for my generation. So he was honestly, I probably hated Edge more than anybody. I'm not gonna lie.
Randy Orton.
Orton was you. See, Edge was for me. Edge really used to piss me off. I'm not gonna lie. Edge and King Booker. Looking
back in hindsight, King Booker was one of the funniest things that ever happened.
Oh, for sure. Appreciate you. Thank you, sir. Do you think Motor City Machine Guns need more recognition? Motor City Machine Guns were actually a really good tag team. Very underappreciated, I feel like.
Very good tag team.
All right, so let's go. Let me go to the bracket. Show everybody what we're doing. You guys see my screen, right? Yeah. All right. Today, guys, starting off, we'll take some questions after, but we're going to be doing a Undisputed Champion All-Time Legends bracket. As you can see, the names we got right here. Some of your favorites may not make it past the first round. Some of your favorites may not make it to the end. But me, Kyron, and Shawn are going to do our creative juices, and we're going to book this tournament. What we think could be the best outcome. Some of you may agree, some of you may disagree. That's fine. Feel free to share your opinions in the comments. But I'll go ahead and read through the list. We'll start with the left side. We got in the first round, we got Macho Man, Randy Savage versus CM Punk, The Rock versus Bret Hart, Brock Lesnar versus Edge, Batista versus Kane, Triple H versus Bruno Martino, Daniel Bryan versus Chris Jericho, Jeff Hardy versus John Cena, Seth Rollins versus Ultimate Warrior. Then over here on this side, we have Booker T versus Stone Cold Steve Austin, Randy Orton versus Eddie Guerrero, Kurt Angle versus Roman Reigns, AJ Styles versus Kurt Angle. I'm sorry, did I say Eddie Guerrero versus I got Kurt Angle in here twice, don't I? I just not realized that. I got Kurt Angle twice, so I got to change that. Under the Giant versus Drew McIntyre, Shawn Michaels versus Rey Mysterio, Hulk Hogan versus Bobby Lashley, and Goldberg versus Undertaker. So I had to change this. Who the hell did I have Roman Reigns facing? Oh, that's right. I know how it now. Foley is supposed to be here. I don't know why I had Kurt Angle on there twice. That was my fault. But Mick Foley is in this spot right here. So we got Mick Foley versus Roman Reigns, AJ Styles versus Kurt Angle, Under the Giant versus Drew McIntyre, Shawn Michaels versus Rey Mysterio, Hulk Hogan versus Bobby Lashley, and Undertaker versus Goldberg. And these are all superstars in their primes too. For everybody watching, these are all just hypothetically picture everybody's in their prime of their career. You know what I'm saying? It's the biggest wrestling tournament you've ever seen in your entire life, in your entire existence, and basically it's going to book it down to who we think can be the undisputed champion. Expect some shockers, expect some, unique picks. But we'll see how this goes. I'm sure you guys kind of got ideas of how you want to do it. You guys want to do just one side first? You guys want to go back and forth? How do you guys want to do it?
It's your show, baby. Make it work. Whatever you want to do.
I'd say let's go one side at a time.
Let's what about if we can do each, so how about we just do this top half right here and then this top half, and then we'll go to the bottom half for each side. So okay. Where it says Kane, where it ends at Kane Under the Giant, we'll do this top half right here for the second round of the tournament, and then we'll go down and and we'll just go back and forth. Back and forth. So let me guys know in the comments who you like to see in the end, or who you want to see, who you think should win. All legends. Shawn, Shawn, looking at this, we talked earlier. Some of your favorites, you said were going to be out of the first round. Shocked us last time. We did one of these tournaments before. You shocked us last time with the draw idea. Conversating the draw. I believe that was the tag team tournament we did. I believe that
Best for business, baby. Best for business.
We'll see. Maybe we get into the draw here. Maybe we don't. We'll see what happens. We'll start up here with Macho Man versus CM Punk. Looking at this, Shawn, what are you thinking here?
I love CM Punk. There's no question about that. I have a lot of respect for him, but Prime Macho Man was, to me, the second most influential wrestler in the number one talented in WWE. I'd say number two behind Flair in entire world of wrestling. Popularity, he was 1A to Hogan's 1. But to me, it's CM Punk has to lose this match. Macho Man goes over.
Kyron, do you agree, or do you want to see something different?
Now, before we even get to let me just say this would be the type of match we dream of seeing. Not just for the in-ring match, but the promos. Just imagine a promo between CM Punk and Randy Savage. But everything Shawn said, I gotta agree with. And I love CM Punk. And with almost anyone else, I probably would have picked him. But you guys know Randy Savage is my favorite wrestler in the 1980s, and I feel like he was literally the full package. I feel like he had the potential to be the face of the company because he had everything you want in a wrestler. He could talk. He had charisma. He had the flashy outfits that everyone liked, and he could work. He was a great in-ring performer. Now, granted, obviously in-ring work wasn't the most important thing back then. But when you have a guy who had the charisma of Hulk Hogan, but the in-ring ability of Ric Flair, he could have been a face of the company.
Well said.
So Macho Man moves on again. How it works since there's three of us. Basically, we either go 3-0 or 2-1. So if somebody gets outvoted, then majority rules. If we all agree, then obviously, we don't need to have majority rules. But I have no issue with Macho Man moving on. CM Punk's out. The Rock versus Bret Hart. Shawn, what are you thinking here?
I'm going with The Rock. All due respect to Bret Hart, he is the greatest technician, with the exception maybe of the unnameable. I think we all know who I'm talking about. But I mean, Bret Hart's very difficult to go over with. But we're talking about somebody that's on my Mount Rushmore, so I'm gonna have to give Rock the dub.
Can you smell what The Rock is cooking, Kyron? You same way?
This is a situation where do you want to pick the in-ring worker or do you want to pick the better entertainer? In this situation, I'm leaning with the entertainment here. Don't get me wrong, Bret Hart in the ring is a billion times better than The Rock. Not saying The Rock was bad in the ring, so don't think that's what I'm saying. But if you tell me which one wrestler you'll sit down and just watch him cut promos all day, it's The Rock. He is the most charismatic wrestler of all time, one of the funniest wrestlers of all time, and one of the most entertaining wrestlers of all time. While being the biggest mainstream star from professional wrestling history, you got to go with The Rock here.
I agree. Brock Lesnar and Edge. Kyron, we'll start with you this time. What are you thinking here?
I think I'm probably going to get outvoted here. If you want, draw, I would go Lesnar, but I'm personally leaning with Edge on this one. And I just think it comes down to, I feel like Edge had them, like I said, Edge had a lot of you loving the wrestler. He knew he could play different roles. He was a good babyface, great heel. He could do hardcore matches, technical matches. He could cut a promo. Brock, he's got much better promos, that's because he's cutting them more. He can't touch Edge on the mic. And while he's the bigger star, I would lean with Edge on this one.
I'm gonna go for Brock to go over. I feel like I'm still gonna go with the star power over everything else. I feel like Brock is more believable to continue to move on in the tournament, especially with different matchups. So I'm gonna go with Brock. Shawn?
It bothers me. This bracket is very hard, and I'm sure that's why you created it this way. To have guys that probably could end up in the semifinals or finals having to be eliminated in the first round because of the first round matchup. So I'm going with Brock, and it's a tight one, but I'm going with Brock. One of the greatest of all time, one of the most controversial. Edge is a Hall of Famer. Brock is a future Hall of Famer. First ballot, I got to go with Brock.
All right, Batista and Kane, all in their primes. Kyron, what are you thinking here?
It's actually a tough one, honestly.
It is a tough one. It is.
Because if you want, you talking about prime 98 Kane or 03 Kane, it was almost untouchable. But if you want, but you talking about prime Batista, 05 to 08, the Batista's second biggest star in the company. Yeah. And my problem with Batista was durability. He got hurt too much, and when he really became a star, he was pushing, late 20s already. But in the situation, I'm going to lean with Batista on this one. And it just comes down to who was it. Like Sean said, bigger star. I'm going Batista.
Shawn?
I'm going to agree with Kyron and go Batista as well, even though to me 98 through 2000 Kane was outstanding. I love what he did with X-Pac, but Batista was the second biggest star in the company for about a 3.5-year spurt. I got to go with Batista, especially considering the fact Kane was never the biggest star in the industry.
Yeah. All right, let's start with over here now. Undertaker and Goldberg. Shawn, we'll start with over here, and then we'll end at Andre, and then we'll go down to this side over here.
Undertaker and Goldberg. Undertaker, no explanation needed.
Yeah, I'm going to put Undertaker down too.
Yeah, so. You already know what I'm about to say. You don't have to ask me.
I like Goldberg in the prime, but Undertaker is on Mount Rushmore, so I can't put Undertaker not go past first round. Bobby Lashley versus Hulk Hogan. Shawn, what are you thinking here?
I love Bobby Lashley. I'm glad he's getting his flowers. He deserves it. It pains me in more ways than one to say what I'm about to say, especially what I know now in my adulthood, which I did not know as I was a child. We want to do correct business, so we're not going to give anybody wins that they don't deserve. But in this first round match, reluctantly, I'm going to give Hogan the nod.
Yeah, same. I'm going to give it to Hogan. I like what they're doing with Lashley. They make booking how he should have always been booked. But come on now, it's Hulk Hogan. I don't, regardless of personal things, it's Hulk Hogan.
Hulkamania. Rey Mysterio and Shawn Michaels. Shawn, all right. I know you're picking Shawn. So,
I'll just make it quick. HBK, I consider to be the greatest wrestler of all time, and I just can't see him going out in the first round. Respect to Rey. I don't see Rey going over Hogan. I don't see Rey going over Flair, any of the top 7 or 8 wrestlers in the industry's history. And Shawn Michaels is no exception. Shawn Michaels has to win this first round match.
All right, HBK.
Yeah, I was going to say the same thing. And I think we do need to give Rey some praise. He's one of the most popular, probably the most popular masked luchador in wrestling history. One of the famous masked luchadors. But Shawn Michaels is arguably the greatest in-ring performer in WWE history. You got to go with Shawn Michaels here.
Drew McIntyre versus Andre the Giant, guys. What are we thinking here? And remember, there are also different ways you go in tournaments, so we can move on. It doesn't have to be like when you beat somebody. It doesn't have to be by a pinfall or something like that. You know, there are different ways people can move on in tournaments. It didn't happen before. Shawn, what are you thinking here?
Before I make my pick, I just want to piggyback off of what Kyron just said about Rey Mysterio being super popular. It speaks volumes. In 2022, he's the cover guy for the video game. So that tells you everything you need to know about Rey. So respect to him.
Yes.
Andre goes over Drew. I like Drew. I don't love Drew. I've always had issues about Drew being a main event guy. I respect him. I believe he deserved his moment. I'm sorry that his moment got stolen from him last year with the pandemic. I don't believe in giving people second, third chances just because, you know, a lot of wrestlers have had bad situations happen to them. At least he was champion on 2 occasions. He deserved it, but you're not going to beat Andre the Giant in a first round match.
Kyron?
Yeah. I really love Drew McIntyre. He's one of the best babyfaces WWE has booked, especially as a champion. Like, the man was one of the best babyface WWE champions we've had in a long time. But when it comes to in his prime, Andre the Giant was larger than life, no pun intended. Especially in his prime where, like, a lot of people only think, and even me, I'm guilty of this. They don't think of Andre the Giant WrestleMania 3 and on where we could barely walk. But when you look at Andre in his prime, he was almost untouchable. Like, the man could work like crazy. And his height, his size, his drawing power, you got to go Andre the Giant.
All right, Triple H versus Bruno. Kyron, starting here.
Oh, man, this right here, I'm going to go Triple H here, and here's why. Bruno may be probably the greatest WWE champion of all time. He sold out Madison Square Garden more than anybody. But, and you could say maybe he is the biggest star, but if you're going to look at the lens, if I ask you, listen, who do you want to see on the card more, Triple H or Bruno Sammartino? Most people don't even know who Bruno Sammartino would be. While a lot of wrestling fans nowadays know who Triple H is. So I'm going to go with Triple H on this.
Shawn?
I'm gonna make Malik make a decision because to me I gotta disagree. I'm going super old school, older than me, older than you guys, older than a lot of us. But Bruno's a legend. Triple H is a legend as well. He'll go down probably as a 2 or 3 time Hall of Famer when it's all said and done.
Yeah.
But Bruno Sammartino, I mean, he dominated the industry for like 8 years, like or longer. So
yeah,
you know, I'm not gonna give him a first round exit in this tournament.
Ah, man, put me on the spot, huh? I'm gonna go. I'll be a little different. I'll go with Bruno. I'll be a little bit different. You need some first round shockers. You need some first round, some first round surprises. I like Triple H a lot, but Bruno, I think I can give Bruno the nod going to the second round. I can give him that. Give him his respect and his contributes to the business when he did. Like I said, he dominated the business for 8 years. Obviously, the business was a lot different back then, but I feel like sometimes Bruno is overshadowed for his contribute to the business and how important he was to wrestling at one point. It was before most of our times now in this age, but I'll go with Bruno. I can live with Bruno going on to the next round. Daniel Bryan, Chris Jericho. What are you guys thinking here, Kyron?
These are two of my 10 favorite wrestlers of all time. And this one actually is going to pay me to pick because I love both of these guys. But you guys know Chris Jericho was in my top 3. I got to go Chris Jericho here. And it comes down to this. Daniel Bryan, I don't think no one grabbed me by the heart more than Daniel Bryan did in his run at WrestleMania 30. But you asked me what wrestlers reinvented himself more times than anyone is Chris Jericho. I'm talking about, the late 90s WCW Chris Jericho, early WWF Chris Jericho, Undisputed Champion Chris Jericho, Mick, 2000 Chris Jericho when he won the IC title a few times, 2008 Chris Jericho, especially when he turned heel on Shawn Michaels, which is some of the best work he's ever done. My personal favorite, 2016 Chris Jericho. The man was able to get things like a list, scarves, and a jacket over, and it didn't come off as cringe or forced. Then you got him going to New Japan and doing what he did in New Japan with Kenny, and now what he did for AEW, and it was his time in the AEW. But for anyone else, they didn't really think AEW really had a shot to be something. So I got to go with Chris Jericho here.
Shawn?
I'm going to get the Daniel Bryan accolades out the way. 2014 was a magical year. 2015, his comeback was a magical time. I love Bryan, what he's doing in AEW, but Chris Jericho, to piggyback off of what Kyron just said, not only is Chris Jericho managed to reinvent himself, but every time he does, it works. I've never seen anything like it. That's why he's in my Mount Rushmore. That's why he moves on in this tournament.
Chris Jericho is moving on. All right, Jeff Hardy and John Cena, two of the most popular superstars from my era that I grew up in. Shawn, I'll start with you.
John Cena wins. I'm sad to see Jeff Hardy draw a megastar like John Cena in the first round. You give him somebody who's slightly lesser than John Cena credentialed, and maybe Jeff Hardy makes it through. But unfortunately, Jeff Hardy has to exit because John Cena is one of the best ever, and John Cena is not going to lose to Jeff Hardy in round 1.
Kyron, you agree?
You already know I'm going to say John Cena.
Sure, John Cena. Seth Rollins and the Ultimate Warrior. Shawn, let you start. New school versus old school.
Yeah. I've learned to respect the Warrior more than I did initially. I thought he was just a maniac. God rest his soul. But I've studied his work, especially lately. I've been doing a lot more homework in preparation for podcasts and different appearances and stuff. We're all journalists, and we're all trying to learn more. So I've gone back and studied his work. He was more talented than I gave him credit for initially. But and maybe if you had asked me this question, was it maybe 4 or 5 months ago, I would have said Ultimate Warrior. But with all the work that Seth Rollins has done, and especially now with this drip god character that he has, which I adore, I think it's awesome. I think Seth Rollins pulls off the upset in round 1.
I'm going to do
piggyback what you said. I think Seth Rollins is doing the best he's ever done in his career. So
yeah,
I agree.
Yeah, his entrance at Royal Rumble last Saturday was amazing. Like Roman comes out, and when I hear the Shields music play, I busted out laughing.
Yeah, that was pretty good.
You guys know I'm not the biggest Ultimate Warrior fan. A lot of things, I was never the biggest fan of his work. His backstage politics are very well known. I mean, they made the whole DVD bashing him over it. But I'm going to give Seth Rollins a nod on this one, too. He's just, for me, the better in-ring performer, and the stuff he's been doing lately has been just too good.
I don't know how y'all can convince Warrior to lose in the first round, but we're gonna roll with it.
He'll walk out when we don't pay him enough money anyway.
Curtingo versus AJ Styles. What do you guys
just for the record, because you brought it up, Malik, because you're the master booker, I'll say that Seth wins that match by DQ, maybe.
Yeah.
interference, something happens.
No.
Something happens in the match, right?
Yeah.
Curtingo versus AJ Styles. Kyron, what you got here?
These are two of my favorite in-ring performers of all time, especially of this era. But you know I got to go with Kurt Angle. He's my second favorite wrestler of all time. In-ring wise, I'd lean toward AJ a little bit, but similar to why I always say I would take Daniel Bryan over AJ Styles. When it comes to entertainment, Kurt Angle has AJ Styles beat. Kurt Angle is one of the funniest wrestlers of all time. Even this very day, Kurt Angle can still be entertaining when given the right circumstances. And Kurt Angle was a killer in the ring, so I got to go Kurt Angle on this one.
Shawn, what are you thinking here?
Kurt was so good, and I almost respect him just as much as his amazing wrestling ability as I did his comedic skits with Austin back in 01. I think he's hilarious when he wants to be, which also ties into wrestling and it's sports entertainment. Even though I like the term pro wrestling better, but obviously Kurt Angle had the better WWE career. But AJ Styles is a former WWE champion on multiple occasions, and you gotta acknowledge his contributions in other organizations. He's been the face of TNA. He's almost, I guess you could say, the face, one of two or three faces in New Japan. If you want to call it an upset, you call it an upset. I don't know if you would. I might call it a slight upset, but I give AJ the victory.
AJ Styles, put me on the spot again.
Yep.
For me, I already know what I want to do too. I got Kurt Angle.
Okay.
Love AJ Styles, but Kurt Angle is just a better fit for me to move on to later rounds. Roman Reigns versus Mick Foley. Okay, make this some type of crazy match. Kyron, what do you got here? What are you thinking?
Before we even go, this has to be. I'm making this a no disqualification match. So I don't want anyone to weasel away. No. This is like, okay, which Mick Foley am I taking here? Because we got Tribal Chief Roman Reigns. Do you want Cactus Jack? Do you want Mankind? Do you love or regular Mick Foley? And I know I'm probably gonna get outvoted here. I'm gonna go with Mick Foley. And it's no disrespect to Roman Reigns, because I think he's the best wrestler in WWE at this point. But when you look at a wrestler who could do in the same era, might I add, did 3 different characters and pulled them all off beautifully, and one of the best promo guys of all time, gotta go Mick. I'm going with Mick Foley here.
I'll put you on the spot, Shawn. I'm gonna go with Roman. I like the matchup with Roman and Kurt better than Roman and Mick Foley. And I feel, I don't know, I just like the Kurt and Roman matchup better. I'm feeling that. What do you think, Shawn?
Roman Reigns would never win this first round match under normal circumstances. Roman Reigns in the Shield, liked them, but Mick Foley's career highlights would have been better. Roman Reigns, as the big dog, hated him, but he still WrestleMania main evented about 4 times in a row. But the Tribal Chief has changed the game. The Tribal Chief has made me a believer, and
Move the needle.
Move the needle. And very similar to my decision regarding Seth going over the Warrior, Seth's latest incarnation is what pushed him over the top. Roman's latest incarnation is what helps him win this first round match.
To the table. Moves on. All right. Eddie Guerrero versus Randy Orton. Shawn, what do you think? I'll let you start.
I love the RKO. I think it's one of the best finishes of all time.
What
RKO, Diamond Cutter, whatever you want to call it. But I think Randy Orton has made that move his own over the past 15, 20 years.
Yeah, for sure.
But Eddie is the man, and Eddie has really proven himself. God rest his soul. And his cruiserweight run in WCW, his world title run in 2004, the live cheat steal, the run he had with Chavo, all the good stuff he done with Ray. Eddie has to win this first round match.
I'm going to go different. I'm going to go with Randy Orton. I would like to see, because assuming how we know the next round is going to go, I like to see Stunner versus the RKO, Viper versus Texas Rattlesnake. That's what I like to see. I love Eddie Guerrero. Eddie Guerrero is one of my top 5 favorite wrestlers of all time. Eddie Guerrero was the first wrestler that made me fall in love with pro wrestling. Before I became a big John Cena mark and John Cena fan, like Eddie Guerrero was my first favorite. Like he was my guy. But I feel like we need some heels to go over too. Randy is one of the best heels of all time, no doubt. And like I said, the matchup we should believe is going to be Stone Cold in the next round. I like that. I really like that matchup. It's a matchup we haven't seen before. Stunner versus RKO is something that I think would be pretty cool to see. I guess you can call it Snake versus Snake because they call it Stone Cold the Texas Rattlesnake. Randy Orton's the Viper. You know what I mean? So I'd be down for that match. So I'm gonna say Randy Orton. Kyron, what do you think?
This is that. Malik, you made some good points, but I'm gonna go Eddie, and here's why. You talk about the Viper versus the Rattlesnake. That could be great. RKO versus Stunner. That could be great. But don't forget this. We were originally supposed to get a feud between Eddie and Stone Cold in 2002, but it didn't happen because Stone Cold walked out of the company.
Right.
Eddie Guerrero is one of my favorite wrestlers of all time. The man was one of the most beautiful workers in the ring, and there's only few title wins, no matter how many times I watch it, can make me emotional. But Eddie with No Way Out always does. I'm gonna go with Eddie Guerrero on this one.
All right, Eddie Guerrero moves on. Majority rules. Stone Cold versus Booker T. I'm assuming we're all going to pick Stone Cold, but I do want to give
reluctantly. Booker T is one of my favorite, especially King Booker. Reluctantly,
he is one of the best.
Yeah, Booker T is one of the funniest wrestlers of all time, like King Booker. But the stuff he's doing with Goldust, Booker T's hilarious. He's one of my favorite wrestlers as well. But Stone Cold's the biggest star in WWE history. You gotta go with Stone Cold.
Unfortunate that Booker draws Stone Cold in round 1.
Top spot: Macho Man versus The Rock. Kyron, we'll start with you.
Oh my gosh, why do you gotta do this to me? These are two of my top 10 favorite wrestlers of all time. Two of my favorite mic workers of all time. But I love you, Savage. I do, but The Rock was the biggest star, and I gotta go with The Rock on this one.
Shawn, you going for in-ring abilities, or are you going for star power?
This is hard for me. I love the Macho Man, Randy Savage. I might even say I love him more than I love The Rock, as much as I appreciate what The Rock has done. But the Rock has to make it to the quarterfinals. I'm not happy about it because he eliminates my guy, but The Rock wins.
Brock Lesnar versus Batista, a matchup that I would love to see this. The Beast versus the Animal. I would have dreamed to see this happen, especially both guys in their primes here. Kyron?
Brock Lesnar versus Batista. I agree, Malik. This is definitely a match I like to see in his prime. I stand by it. If Brock wasn't going to end the streak, I wouldn't have minded seeing this at WrestleMania 30. You could have had Daniel Bryan win the Rumble and have Brock face Batista. But this is a tough one because I love Batista more, especially. But I got to go with Brock here. If I didn't have Brock beat Edge, then I'm going to have Brock beat Batista.
I agree too. So, Shawn, I don't know what you're going to say. But
I want to see Brock and Rock in the next round.
Lesnar moves on. Undertaker versus Hulk Hogan. Kyron, we'll start with you.
Hold on, give me a second. You guys go first because I got something I got to handle real quick.
All right, go ahead, Shawn. Take it away. Undertaker versus Hulk Hogan.
We have a little bit of a sample size when it comes to Hogan and Undertaker. Hogan actually has lost to Undertaker every time he's ever faced him, with the exception of this Tuesday in Texas.
I mean, both guys are huge stars. I mean, you can't really miss out on either one going next round. You know what I mean?
Hulk Hogan is probably the third biggest star in the history of the WWE, behind Rock and Austin.
I would say he's number 2.
Maybe. And then you got Undertaker, who's probably in that 4, 5, 6 range.
Greatest character of all time.
I am very, very reluctantly going to say Hulk Hogan.
I'm going to say The Undertaker.
Okay.
We'll wait for Kyron though. See what he says.
No problem. That's definitely a tough. Come on, MB, hit that 3. Ooh.
I'm gonna go Undertaker more for shock value. I think a lot of people would expect Hogan to win if we were booking the tournament, and Hogan losing the second round, whether it be by interference or however we do it. I think that would be a big shock. So I'm gonna say The Undertaker.
See, what you're doing is you're allowing yourself to basically book this tournament as if it were like a real. I feel you. I understand what you're talking about. It makes sense too.
Okay, so I get the tiebreaker for the first time. Oh man, do I go with personal preference or what?
Plus, I'm looking at the next round too, so you got to think about the next matchups and everything.
I'm gonna go. God damn it, the next round will be interesting either way. You know what? I'm going to go with. I'm going with the Undertaker on this one. I feel like his character work, it just elevates a little bit over Hogan.
Shawn Michaels versus Andre. I'm curious to see what you guys say about this one. Shawn?
You're gonna laugh, but I think HBK, prime HBK, and he's been so good for so long, we can't even really narrow it down what his real prime was, because as great as he was in 97 going into 98 before he got hurt, as great as he was in 95, 96, he was almost as great in 05 and 04. So HBK in his prime, HBK at his best, I think somehow, some way he finds a way to get the victory.
Kyron, what do you think?
I think it's going to be a situation where I don't think Andre's going to get pinned by Shawn. I can see Shawn. I think Shawn will win this match by DQ. But I'm going with Shawn on this one. Just barely, because I don't think Andre would get pinned. But like we said, we can have someone win another way. And I think Shawn will win this match by disqualification or count out.
It's all about how you want to book it. Bruno Sammartino versus Chris Jericho. Shawn, what are you thinking here? This would be a unique matchup, actually. It would be very unique.
I'm gonna go Y2J by count out. How about that? I'm gonna go Y2J by count out.
Y2J by count out. Kyron?
I'm actually gonna go Y2J via pinfall. I'm gonna give Jericho a straight up clean win. I feel like he deserves it. Of course, I'm trying not to be as biased as I could be, but once again, I think it's like everything about Jericho in round one elevates him a little bit over Bruno Sammartino here.
John Cena versus Seth Rollins. What do you got here, Shawn? Excuse me.
I love Seth so much, bro. I love Seth, and I do not love John Cena. I don't love him. I respect him. I love and respect.
This is about booking, though. This is about how we're booking it as a team.
Seth Rollins. Seth Rollins has found a way to beat John Cena in some very shaky situations. But in this all-star tournament, Seth loses. I say that very reluctantly.
Okay, I'm pretty sure we're going to pick John Cena as well. So,
you got to go through on this one.
Curtingo versus Roman Reigns. Kyron, we'll start with you.
So the Tribal Chief versus the Wrestling Machine. This would be amazing.
Yeah, this will be a really good match.
Once again, I think I might get outvoted here, but I'm going to go with Kurt Angle again on this one. I don't think he's going to make Roman Reigns tap out, but I think he'll beat him with the ankle slam. I think Kurt's going to win this match.
I'm going to be a little bit different. I'm going to go with Roman. I'm going to say Roman continues to move on. Looking at the matchups differently, I like little matchups differently, and I think it continues to push Roman pretty much where WWE's pushing him right now. And to be a little bit different, Kurt Angle is one of my top 5 favorite wrestlers of all time, but I'll go with Roman Reigns. Leave it to you, Shawn.
Yeah, my answer is the same as in the first round. If this was before this current incarnation of the Tribal Chief, I would say Kurt Angle, but this Tribal Chief is, as you said accurately, Malik, has moved the needle, and that moves him into the quarterfinals in my book.
Right.
If we had done this bracket a year ago, Roman Reigns might have been going in the first round.
All right, Eddie Guerrero versus Stone Cold. What a matchup this would have been, especially the feud. I mean, they did have matches here and there, but the feud that they were supposed to happen would have been phenomenal. I'm going to say Stone Cold Steve Austin, just for the fact star power continues to move on. In-ring ability and star power Eddie has, but not star power, not as much Stone Cold Steve Austin is going to draw. Plus, you move him against Roman Reigns. That's big money right there. So I'm going to say Stone Cold.
If it was anyone else, I would go with Eddie, but you can't go against Stone Cold Steve Austin here.
You can't.
Rattlesnake.
You can't.
All right, now we're down to the final 8. Let's go up here. The Rock versus Brock Lesnar. Getting down to the nitty-gritty. Kyron, we'll start with you.
Okay, we got this match one time, and it was a very good match at SummerSlam 2002. However, I feel like we definitely missed out on a chance to get it later on because Rock got hurt at WrestleMania 29.
Yeah, it was people don't know that. For people who don't know, the match was going to happen at WrestleMania 30.
Yeah, but Rock got hurt at 29. They won the end. So, man, I'm going to go with The Rock. Once again, his entertainment, and it'll be a close match, but I think The Rock owes Brock Lesnar from SummerSlam 2002, and I think The Rock would get this.
Shawn, I'm gonna leave you down to pick. I'm gonna go with the upset. I'm gonna go with Brock Lesnar for the win. Brock Lesnar takes out one of the biggest stars in the tournament, and he's super believable to do it because he's Brock Lesnar, and he's believable to pretty much do anything at this point. And I like Brock moving on. I'm okay with that. Shawn, what do you think?
I'm gonna echo what Kyron said. I'm gonna talk about how Brock beat Rock in 02, and I think Rock gets him back. And I think whether Rock goes on to win the tournament or not, it'll lead to a trilogy.
So we got The Rock moving on.
And I did not know that Rock was supposed to face Brock at 30, and I'm very pissed that didn't happen.
Yeah, because they were supposed to actually start to build the night after WrestleMania 29. But remember, Rock tore his pelvis the night at WrestleMania 29, so he had to go in for surgery.
Oh man.
Undertaker versus Shawn Michaels. Kyron?
One of the best WrestleMania rivalries of all time. Two of my favorite in-ring workers. Even though Shawn's beating him more, this could be this is gonna be a great match. They've had two of the greatest WrestleMania matches of all time. I'm gonna go with the Undertaker here. Once again, character work, and I feel like, especially later in his career, Shawn would have definitely been willing to do the job of the Undertaker if he saw he did it twice. I'm going with the Undertaker.
Shawn?
You're right. Undertaker has lost to Shawn Michaels more, but Undertaker has won the more significant matches. And this tournament that Malik has put together, it seems like WrestleMania quality to me. So Shawn owes the Undertaker. You got to have Shawn Michaels get one over the dead man in a high-profile situation.
Put me in the spot, man.
Tired of seeing the Undertaker beat Michaels every time the lights are on brightest.
Oh, come on now. Shawn won the Hell in a Cell match.
Yeah, with a lot of outside interference.
Well, I'm sorry, Shawn, but I'm going with the Undertaker.
Okay, that's fair.
I like Taker moving on for other matchups. Chris Jericho and John Cena. Kyron, what are you thinking here?
I set my first favorite wrestler, my third favorite wrestler of all time. And everything else about Chris Jericho stands true. But Cena was the biggest star. And I think, here's the one thing. I don't know if Jericho's ever beaten John Cena. If he has, it slips my memory. But
yeah, he's one of the very few people who make Cena tap out. He's made Cena tap out before.
Oh, well, that was the prototype John Cena. That's not even Dr. Thugonomics. But when I look at who's at the top up there, I need the trilogy. I'm going with John Cena here because I need the Rock trilogy.
Shawn?
The buck stops here in my mind. The buck stops here. I've picked Cena twice. I've also said off the air that I respect him and I respect his legacy and a lot of things I thought I'd never say. I've really graduated to a more mature way of thinking when it comes to John Cena, but he does not beat Chris Jericho in his prime. No.
No, he definitely does because John Cena's moving on. So I need that trilogy myself. Cena and Rock 3, and I need that. And that's, to me, that's bigger than Rock and Jericho in the semifinals. Cena and Rock, especially in the trilogy, that could be the finals right there. I'm talking about the trilogy. I mean, that's a semifinal. That could be the finals right there. So that's the semifinals. That's big time right there. Now we got Roman Reigns versus Stone Cold Steve Austin. The past versus the present, biggest star in WWE right now versus the biggest star in wrestling of all time, in my opinion. So, Shawn, we'll start with you.
The torch gets passed in a big shocker.
You going with Roman?
That's correct.
Kyron?
I gotta go Austin here. I need those four in the semifinals are four of the biggest stars ever. Gotta go with Austin here.
Oh man. See, the same way you thinking about Roman is what I was thinking about Brock beating The Rock. That would have been a big shocker. Shock value. Because having Rock, Taker, and Cena and Stone Cold in the finals, I mean, I feel like everybody would do that. Like, that's just something everybody would do just because it could be the right thing to do and it would draw. I'm going to go with the shock factor too, though. I'm going to go with Roman Reigns.
What?
Tournament, you need shock factors and you need surprises, and I think Roman Reigns shocks the world and he moves on. Now we got The Rock, John Cena, Undertaker, and Roman Reigns in the semifinals here. So let's start with The Rock versus John Cena, the trilogy of the 2 WrestleMania matches that they had back to back. Kyron, we'll start with you, since we were kids growing up watching this when this happened. So we were torn. But the trilogy now, as we're booking as the bookers, what do you have here?
If they did do the trilogy, I think Cena would have won the third one. But in this situation, I'm actually gonna go with The Rock on this one, and only because for the fans, I'd want the biggest possible match. And while I think Cena's a big star, he doesn't touch The Rock. Now, like I said, if they did the trilogy in real life, I do think Cena would win this one. But in this situation, I'm going with The Rock.
Shawn?
As am I. The Rock would go over in the trilogy matchup in this particular situation, and The Rock will be in the finals.
The Rock moves on to the finals. Now we got Undertaker versus Roman Reigns. Do we want to go Undertaker versus Roman, family versus family, or do we want to go Undertaker versus The Rock? 2 of the biggest stars of all time. Shawn, I'll let you start, man. What are you thinking here?
The torch continues to get passed, man. Roman Reigns. The tribal chief continues to shock the world.
Kyron?
Well, if I'm being honest, Roman Reigns wouldn't have made it this far because I had him losing every round he made it. However, this time, because I want that match, I'm going Roman Reigns here because I want him versus The Rock. It's too much story there. But the family, the family legacy. Just the fact that
me and Shawn would push Roman like Vince is doing right now. It's crazy.
Which is funny because I had Roman eliminated in round 1. I damn sure wouldn't put him over Angle, and there's no way I'd have put him over Austin. And I usually wouldn't put him over Undertaker. If Cena, like I'm telling you, if Cena won the last round, I'd have picked the Undertaker. But I want to see The Rock versus Roman Reigns at WrestleMania.
Yeah, Rock and Roman that'd have been big right there, which possibly could happen next year at WrestleMania. So now this is where, and now all these guys are in their primes, by the way, too. They're all in their primes here.
Yeah, let's be honest. A Roman Reigns Undertaker match would be much better than we got at 33 because Undertaker went in his prime and he wouldn't have had bad hips.
Yeah. In the prime, they would have had an amazing match. No doubt about that. Kyron, let you start, man. What are you thinking here? Tribal Chief versus the Great One.
Do I pass the torch? Or do I stick or not? Because this is the match, they've been wanting to do since probably Royal Rumble 2015. They've been wanting to do this match, and now with Roman probably being over, I think you could do it. And we're just waiting for The Rock to agree to it. But in this situation, this is the best of the best. I'm going with The Rock here.
Shawn, passing the torch still, or are you going with
the thing about Cinderella is that eventually the glass shoe has to break. You're going up against The Rock. The Rock's arguably the greatest of all time. He's my number 2 of all time. 2A. I haven't decided whether it's Austin or Rock at number 2.
Right.
The glass shoe has to break for Cinderella sometimes. It just happens that way. But it ain't breaking tonight because Roman Reigns finds a way to take the torch away from The Rock, just like he will do in real life, hopefully.
Well, yeah, I mean, if they fought, he'll beat The Rock.
It feels fitting that the final would come down to one person because I didn't want it to be a sweep. It's on you, Malik.
Man, I love Roman Reigns so much too. I love The Rock, man. The Rock's one of my top 5 favorites of all time. I mean, Roman has already beaten Stone Cold and Taker, and those guys to me I have those guys above The Rock as far as on the Mount Rushmore. Those 2 guys are on my Mount Rushmore. So I put Roman Reigns over 2 guys on my Mount Rushmore. Plus, I put him over 2 of my favorite wrestlers of all time, Eddie Guerrero and The Undertaker.
He's the one.
Yeah, I think Shawn does that. I think Shawn is right. I'm going to go with Roman Reigns too.
Yeah.
I think it's at the tournament that people don't expect, and it brings shock value. Because I want something.
The Usos get involved.
Oh, they have to.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean, something can happen. I mean, something could happen. Who knows? what could go down. Anything could happen as far as shock value and all types of things. So there could be interference, there could be disqualification, there could be all types of stuff. You know what? The Usos, we could have the story where the Usos like in the middle, they're torn, and then at WrestleMania they decide which side they're on, and they help Roman win. You know what I'm saying?
He's the one.
They help Roman win. So
Roman is the one.
Roman is the man right now, no doubt about that. Roman is. And
I can't believe I'm saying this. A year and a half ago, I hated his guts. I hated him so much.
But his funny, like I said, it looked to me Roman wouldn't even make it past round 1.
Huh? Say it again.
Yeah.
I said if it was up to me, Roman would not even have made it past round 1.
Oh, okay.
And I don't know how you guys had him beating Angle or Austin, but once we got to semifinals and The Rock made it.
Well, I was going to do something different. So I was looking back at it now. I was going to have Brock up to the finals. That's what I was going to do. I was trying to get Brock Lesnar to win it all. That's what I was aiming for. But I got outvoted with the Brock situation. So
nobody want to see Brock and Roman again.
No, I wouldn't have had Roman go that far if Brock had won. If Brock had won, I would have had Austin beat Roman. I would have had Austin beat Roman, and then it would have came down to Austin and Taker, or whichever one. It wouldn't have mattered to me. Probably would have picked Taker just for shock value a little more, but I was pushing for Brock to win. That's what I was kind of hoping to get.
Roman is the one, boys. Roman is the one.
Majority rules. Roman is the one.
The head of the table, the tribal. He has as much nicknames now as his cousin.
No, he doesn't.
People's Champ. Let me count him. People's Champ, great one. The most electrifying man in sports entertainment, Brahma Bull.
The jabroni beating, pie eating, trailblazing, eyebrow raising.
We're not counting all that as one.
That's not a nickname. That's more of a catchphrase.
Yeah. Brahma Bull, People's Champ, great one. The most electrifying man in sports entertainment. Roman Reigns
has
head of the table,
the big dog,
tribal chief, the big dog, the needle mover. He's the one.
The one.
No. I'm counting the jabroni beat, pie eating, trailblazing, eyebrow raising, strong in the bed, faster than a buck. The big thing hit candy because the bait will leave suck. I'm counting.
Roman Reigns does have a lot of nicknames now. He does have.
He's the one. That means that's 5. That's 5 because he's the one.
The guy. He was the guy. For 11, 20, he was the guy.
I'm doing you a favor. I'm not counting that one because I hated that one.
If you remember, what was it, a couple years ago? They used to call him something else a couple years ago before the big dog. I can't remember what it was though. But they dropped it. It didn't last long. But I mean,
the guy.
No, that was before. That was before he called himself that.
You know how gangster you have to be to say I'm the one. I'm just the one.
No, I think I'm not.
I mean, he is though. I mean, technically, he really is. I mean, real life. I mean, technically.
Yo, who are you? I'm
like
the
right
one.
now, he is.
Yeah, Malik, you love it. You love it, Malik.
I love Roman Reigns. So Roman Reigns has moved into my top 10 favorite of all time. In my top.
I ain't gonna put him top 10 favorite of all time right now.
He's in my after this whole year I've seen of him. He's won me over so much. Like,
think about what we just did, Kyron. At least 2 of the 3 of us, we had him winning a fantasy tournament, for God's sake.
And you know what's funny? We got a comment right here. XX do 1, 2, 3, 1. How the hell did Roman Reigns win this tournament? Because these two picked him to beat Mick Foley, Curtingo, and Stone Cold. That's why he won this tournament. That's why.
You know why? You know why? Because he's the one.
That was stupid, man.
I mean, the way it turned out, like I said, I was pushing. I figured it wouldn't happen, but I was pushing for Brock Lesnar to win. That's who I wanted to win.
Nah, Brock wasn't getting. He was not gonna get past The Rock for me. And if somehow he did, he wasn't getting past Cena either for me. So Brock was not winning this thing. Really, I didn't have Brock getting out of round 1 because I had Edge over him.
Yeah, I definitely wouldn't have Edge beat.
Come on, dude, it's not that funny, man.
You know me, my sense of humor is crazy.
You got messed up sense of humor, man. When you being something,
yo, but you know what? On a serious note, that's a dope ass nickname. You're like, who are you, bro? I'm the one. That's some gangster shit.
That's as dumb. That's almost as dumb as Sting's theme.
Oh, you know what? You think calling yourself the one is dumb? That's so dope, bro.
I wouldn't do it.
Bro, like, I'm the one. You know what? All jokes aside, I know I'm having fun with it, but like, you're the one. That means like I'm that dude, bro. Like, there's no. I'm just the one.
Well, to be fair, they called the Brock the 1 and 21 and 1, so it's not like they called Brock the 1 and 1.
That was now that okay.
That was for the streak, though. Roman is the one as far as being the man.
That was associated to like the. He don't have to be the 1 and 21. He's just the one. Oh, Roman Reigns.
He does have.
You know, the more I talk, the more I like him. It's like this dude has changed. Listen, I swear to God, I hated him, bro. Kyron, my hand to God, the big dog character made me sick to my stomach, bro. He was so annoying. And now he's like the coolest guy in the business. Well, not the coolest guy in the business, but he's up there.
I mean, people can vouch for me. I never dislike Roman Reigns, so I mean,
I can't say. I'll be honest. I don't think they really dislike Roman. I just hate how they booked him.
I mean, yeah, his booking was overpushed, but I mean, that's expected when you're the top guy. I mean, that's what happens. I've always liked Roman. I never disliked Roman. Like you said, the tournament. I think we all would have had a little bit differently. Who were some guys that we upset to see? Who are some guys that you want to really see win that you did?
Hold up, y'all. Malik, I gotta read this because he begged me to. Conrad says he said somebody better read it for the stream. And fans hated Reigns. Now I see them. They be like, "At your service, my tribal chief." Like Conrad said we got to read that. So yeah,
I'm not going. I know he's not talking about me, but just for the record, I'm not bowing to nobody. But I will say this: Roman Reigns has evolved into the coolest guy in the WWE.
I will give you that much.
No doubt about it. Who are some guys that you're upset to see lose that you want to move on?
I wanted Kurt Angle to move on. I wanted Stone Cold to move on.
I just hate the Booker caught Stone Cold in the first round.
I was really upset. Honestly, I really want to see Randy Orton and Stone Cold. I was upset that I didn't get that. I was really hoping to get that. But I'm not mad to see Eddie Guerrero move on. Eddie Guerrero is a legend. So I mean,
Kyron, I know you. You know what, Kyron? You may not want to admit it, but my humor, it tickles you, bro. You enjoy when I lose my mind like this. There's always someone.
Sometimes. Malik doesn't find you funny at all, though. Malik doesn't find you funny. Malik the one that doesn't find you funny.
It just depends.
Yeah, it depends. Malik found the one thing funny. He didn't find
Malik. The two funniest things you did on this show, Malik said stone face for 5 minutes.
He did. He didn't budge for the Hassan thing.
Or the Kushida thing either.
Yeah.
Oh, going crazy about that. Going crazy about that.
Conrad says Punk got robbed too by his matchup. Yeah, he did, but we weren't picking him over Savage. So,
well, I mean, to be fair, Conrad, I was, but I got.
Punk. Kyron, you gotta be saying Kyron, bro. Conrad, you think that Punk got robbed by losing to Savage?
I think it means he got robbed by getting matched with Savage.
Oh, okay, I agree. And so did Booker T, like I said.
I mean, with Booker T, though, yeah, Stone Cold. I mean, it's all about the matchups, man. Some people got to take the L in the first round. You know, they got to move on. And here's the thing.
I'm gonna go back to the tour for one thing. We're gonna make the Stone Cold Booker T thing more interesting. That match happened at a supermarket. Make it more interesting.
Yeah, we can have that in the supermarket. That could be fair. That could be fair. I mean, that is one of the best in WWE history.
Man said price check on a jackass.
That is one of the greatest segments in WWE history for sure.
It really is.
All right, if you guys have some questions, you guys can drop some questions in the comment section. We'll answer some questions.
Yeah, we can go for a few questions for a while.
Excuse me. You guys got some questions? Drop it in the comment section. Ask about anything you guys want. Roman is the one, though.
Yo, Malik, what's your favorite number, bro?
Number 1.
I'm gonna stop because even
when I go to WrestleMania, that's when he comes out. This is all I'm gonna do right here. That's all I'm doing.
I'm gonna move my computer so people can.
Number 1, man. Number 1.
And you know what the sad part is, bro? He really is the one. Like, Roman Reigns is that freaking dude, bro. Him and Seth Rollins are freaking awesome right now.
Who is the most disrespected legend of all time? Great question, man. By Jesse.
Booker T. Booker T. I don't think Booker T gets his flowers the way he's supposed to.
I would say Booker T definitely is up there. I respect that. For me, honestly, I'm gonna say Randy Orton. That's my answer.
Randy Orton, you feel is disrespected?
I do. I feel like
I don't think he's disrespected
because people, I don't feel like appreciate him enough as far as being one of the all-time greats. People like to overshadow him because maybe he wasn't the top guy, but Randy Orton, to me, for sure, is up there in the conversation with the all-time greats.
When you call, I think we've had this conversation before. What do you call all-time greats? Because Randy Orton does land in my top 20.
He's up there with the Triple H's and all those guys. Okay. He's up there with those guys.
He's not top 10 though.
I think he can make the argument to be in the top 10. I don't have him in my top 10,
right?
But I can respect. I can like if people put him in the top 10, I'm not going to be like, well, Randy Orton can't be in the top 10. Like,
but for the record, he's easily in the top 20.
I'm gonna tell you. You know what I think is kind of disrespected Triple H is, and I'll tell you why. And our buddy Conrad has said this a lot. A lot of people put down Triple H because he married Stephanie. Now, I don't think he'd have had the reign of terror if he didn't marry Stephanie, but I feel like that does a disservice to what Triple H was as a wrestler.
Sure, the most respected legend of all time is definitely John Cena. What am I talking about?
I don't know one too.
People don't appreciate that man's greatness. Thoughts on the Shane McMahon controversy? Good question by Conrad. We kind of talked about this off the air a little bit. Well, me and Shawn did. It doesn't really. I'm not really like surprised by it. Really, like it doesn't really like shock me. From what I've heard and what we heard, they said like I guess Shane was booking the Royal Rumble matches backstage and like he was getting into it with some superstars because of how he wanted to book the match or book himself in the match, and people didn't like that. So ultimately, I think it came down to Vince had to make a decision: either make the locker room happy or side with family. And Vince, we all know, is about business first. I get that Shane is his son, but business comes before anything. So I don't think it was anything like malicious. Shane's his son, so he probably told Shane what the deal was before, and this is the first time Shane left the company. And like, I don't think Shane McMahon is really like tripping of not being there because like Shane McMahon left the WWE in 2009 to pursue other things outside of wrestling. You know what I mean? Like he owns other things that are not in wrestling. I think he more so came back as far as for bigger moments and for his kids and everything. And he got some pretty cool moments, had some good matches, had some great things there, but I think Vince ultimately let go Shane to set an example for the locker room to, number one, let people know that business will always come before anything and you can be let go at any time. It doesn't matter who you are. And number two, it was to, I think, maybe make the locker room happy as far as, from what I've heard, some people were upset about how he was doing things and what was going on. And I think Vince ultimately just, made the decision to make people happy backstage. So, Shawn, you want to touch on that?
I think Shane McMahon has a great legacy. I think that whatever happened behind the scenes, it must have been significant for Shane to be dismissed or maybe possibly even just asked to walk away. I never thought of Shane McMahon as having somebody with a big ego, so I'm pretty surprised by that. I don't know if it maybe was a big misunderstanding or maybe Shane McMahon does have a big ego. Maybe he booked himself to be in a ridiculous spot that he has no business thinking he should be in. But it's unfortunate because I would love to see Shane McMahon around the company during WrestleMania time.
Originally, I thought it was them throwing Shane under the bus because he was the one that booked the Royal Rumble and it was trash. But if Shane was really getting into it with people backstage, then I think that it was best. I mean, we all know he's going to be back soon anyway. He's not going to be gone long. But if that's what happened, then I feel like it was best to cut your losses. Because like Malik said, you want one person unhappy, the whole lot were unhappy.
Yeah, so it's down to oranges and apples. You know what I'm saying? You got to really pick and choose on making everybody else happy for your own good reasons, for your working staff, or, just pick family over business. Which, Shane McMahon is his son. So, it's very understandable. But, at the end of the day, I don't know what happened backstage. I don't know. That's just only from what I've heard on the internet. But, from what I've heard, he was trying to do things that were unnecessary, I guess. I heard that he got into it with Brock, too, and, of how things should be booked and everything. And so, right. You can't do that. That's not a good idea. So, you don't want to headbutt one of the top guys. So
that's a fact.
That will get you into some deep hot water. You can use somebody like Mr. Kennedy, for example. Won Money in the Bank, had a great push opportunity, but then He had some backstage heat with guys like Shawn Michaels and Cena and Orton and Triple H, and just that's something you can do. And at least in the WWE locker room. I don't know about all professional wrestling, but definitely in the WWE locker room.
Facts.
This one right here. Who are the 5 next Raw Women's Champions after Becky Lynch?
All right, no particular order. Bianca Belair, Liv Morgan, because I feel like she's too over not to be. Damn, after those two, it's really hard because the Raw Women's division is very lacking. Maybe if Bayley comes to Raw, which they really need her. Maybe Bayley. But honestly, I can't think of 5. I'll be honest, I can't. So yeah, Bianca, Liv, and Bayley.
I think Bianca definitely could be. I don't know if they're gonna pull the trigger on Liv Morgan. I want to believe they will. I think Rhea Ripley will be the champion again. Eventually, I can see everyone in the title back. So I'll say Rhea Ripley, Bianca Belair. I'll throw Ronda Rousey in there as well. I think she could win the title within I don't know, this next 5 champions, so I don't know how long the stretches of the title range are going to be. I could say Liv Morgan too. I want to believe that. I would like to see them at least give Liv Morgan a championship run to see how she can do, because she is over and a lot of fans do want to see it. So it's something that I would love to see happen. But I'll say Liv Morgan. And the last one, I don't know. Maybe, like I said, maybe Bayley. If Bayley comes back, or if Asuka, whenever she comes back. So maybe like Asuka or something. What about you, Shawn?
The next 5 Raw Women's Champions. I'll go Bianca Belair. I'll go Liv. I'll go maybe Nikki Cross, if she can get this character continuing the role, even though I'm not sure. Rhea Ripley, and maybe somebody from NXT like Io Shirai.
Ooh, Io's good. This question right here: how can The Rock be considered one of the greatest? His promo skills, yeah, they were great, but his in-ring skills weren't really that great. Well, The Rock is one of the greatest ever because of his contribute to the business. Number one, star power is already there, but The Rock wasn't that bad of a worker. The Rock's had a lot of good matches in wrestling. His match with Hulk Hogan at WrestleMania was iconic. His match with Brock Lesnar, his matches with Stone Cold Steve Austin, his matches with John Cena, his matches with Curtingo. He's had great matches with, plenty of people. But The Rock, as far as draw power, and one of the biggest box office draws ever. The Rock could come back tomorrow and say, hey, I'm facing Roman Reigns at WrestleMania, and WrestleMania would do insane numbers as far as marketing and money and all that stuff. And you don't really have to be a great wrestler to be an all-time legend. Goldberg was never a great wrestler. Goldberg was a legend. Ultimate Warrior was never a great wrestler. Ultimate Warrior was a legend. These guys didn't have to be great wrestlers to be legends. They had great characters. So they got Ultimate Warrior has a great character. So, what's that echo? Somebody got it. Did you hear it? Was that me? The echo?
I heard it too. I don't know where it came from.
I heard it too.
Like I said, you don't have to be a great in-ring wrestler to be a legend. Like there are plenty of
WWE.
Especially there are plenty of wrestlers who weren't the best wrestlers that, were still considered all-time greats. Like I said, Goldberg was never a great wrestler. Ultimate Warrior was never a phenomenal wrestler, but these guys had great characters that people gravitated towards too that made them legends. You know what I mean? So
I'm gonna leave you with this here. The 4 biggest names, and then guys who were the face of the company: Hogan, Austin, Rock, Cena. Were any of them the best in-ring performer? No. They had charisma and they connected with the audience.
That's the most important thing, connecting with the fans too. Making the fans feel emotion, whether it's good, bad, happy. Connecting with the audience is the most important thing. And connecting with the fans.
Yeah, 100%. I think that's why we made some of the decisions we made during the tournament too.
I mean, you could argue that maybe. I mean, as far as entertainment-wise, there's probably nobody who connected with the audience more than The Rock did. As far as entertainment-wise and having the fans, on the edge, whether it be anything, making you love them, hate them, The Rock was just that good.
Here's the thing. I'm gonna ask you this: when it came to look at the new generation era, Shawn and Bret were great workers, but they didn't draw a champion.
That is true too. Bret Hart, and you could do it backwards. Bret Hart was a great worker, but did Bret Hart really have a good character? Was his character really that special? I don't think it was. You know what I mean? But in ring wise, how many people can touch Bret Hart? You know what I mean? Like in ring wise, this guy's untouchable.
Facts. Pure facts.
So that's just how it is. Let me see. Do you see Liv or Bianca facing Becky at Mania? I would like to see. So what I would like to see, I personally, because I want all of them to get a spot on WrestleMania, because I think they all should be at WrestleMania on a spot somewhere. I want to see Becky versus Liv versus Bianca versus Rhea Ripley in a fatal 4-way. I want everybody to have a spot at WrestleMania, and I want to see one of those. I don't want to see any of them on the pre-show. I feel like they all need to be on WrestleMania to stay relevant. And having that fatal 4-way, we make it an elimination match or something. I don't care.
Super facts.
Make it an elimination match. Have it come down to Becky and Bianca, or if you want to go for shock value, you can have it come down to Liv and Bianca just for shock value or something. But
to me, no matter what, you got to have Liv. If all I'm, you got to have Bianca pin Becky.
Yeah, I mean Bianca could, like I said, Bianca could win. You know what I'm saying? So I mean, it is what it is. I think I'd like to see the fatal 4-way though. I personally like to see the fatal 4-way. I think it would be the best case scenario, especially with Ronda facing Charlotte. Sasha Banks probably going to do something else. And all of those. WWE's not really going to have that many women's matches at WrestleMania either. Maybe 3 at the most. So,
which I think is, if you ask me, I understand why, but you have 2 nights. You got the 2 title matches, and I'm sorry, but you can't waste Sasha Banks. And
Sasha Banks more likely is going to face a legend. I feel like she's going to face some type of legend and get her WrestleMania moment because she should win a WrestleMania this year. She needs
that's another thing. Like if you didn't have Ronda come back, you could have imagine you could have had Sasha win the Rumble and face Charlotte. You can run a storyline that's simple. Sasha can't win at WrestleMania. Like sometimes the best storylines don't have to be complicated.
Agreed.
Let's see. We'll go to this one right here. WrestleMania 38 predictions. So besides the matches that we already know, this is a match that I think we all want to see. I want to see AJ Styles versus Edge. That's a match
without question.
It's a match that can make happen. So I'm gonna predict. I'm gonna say it happens. I'm gonna say it happens.
Yeah, you got Brock, Roman, sadly you got Charlotte and Ronda. I want to see Edge and AJ. I want to see Becky and Bianca. I want to see Sasha Banks versus Trish Stratus if they can get Trish to work at WrestleMania. What else? What else is that like?
What about Bobby Lashley? What do you think he does at WrestleMania?
Seth Rollins and or Kevin Owens.
Maybe triple threat? Maybe Rollins, Owens, and Lashley triple threat?
Never mind, because I forgot Bobby won't have the title at WrestleMania.
All right, because Brock's in the chamber. So you think Brock's in the chamber? Set up title for title?
The plan is to do title for title. I think Meltzer reported.
Okay, but Bobby, so I mean, even if he's not the champion, he can still. I mean, he's still going to be on WrestleMania. So he's still.
You'll mention him with Seth Rollins.
Seth Rollins could be cool. What do you think, Shawn?
I think having Seth and Kevin Owens challenge for the tag team titles would be cool. But my preference would be for Seth to be entered into the world title match, to the Universal title match.
Triple threat.
Yep.
I like that idea. Yeah, AJ and Edge is one that I'm hoping to see the most. That I'm hoping that we get. But as far as guys like Drew McIntyre and everything, Seth Rollins, I don't really know right now. Honestly, I'm not really sure yet what the plans hold for them. I think Seth or Drew either could be added to the world title match, but it depends if Brock wins the chamber. If Brock wins the chamber, then I don't see that happening.
Facts.
I think I saw someone said that they would like to see Drew McIntyre face John Cena at WrestleMania. I mean, if Cena can make it, I wouldn't mind seeing that.
That's funny because I told Shawn that earlier. If they were to add Seth into the triple and make it a triple threat, you have to give Drew McIntyre a big money match at WrestleMania.
Of course.
I think John Cena putting him over would at least be a good thing for Drew McIntyre. So, but I don't really know though. I'm not really sure what some of that stuff is right now. Even like Randy Orton, I'm sure he's gonna face Riddle. So Randy Orton probably gonna face Riddle, which I'm fine with that. If you look at other stuff, I'm not really sure about people like Lashley and Seth Rollins and Kevin Owens and Drew McIntyre. There's no clear-cut feud for them right now. I mean, as far as as far as where the path is going.
Mm-hmm.
Who is a better technical wrestler, Bret Hart or Bryan Danielson? As far as technical and ring work, that's a great question.
It's close, but I'd give the nod to Bret Hart.
Yeah, same.
I would say Bret by a little bit. I would say for me, Brett is on the Mount Rushmore of technical wrestlers. I don't know if I would put Brian on there. It's close.
Which is funny because I think the Wrestling Observer newsletter, like their award for best technical wrestler, is actually named after Bryan Danielson.
I mean, Brian is up there. I mean, I would have Brian on there. I would have Curtingo on there. You know what I'm saying? Brian definitely could be up there though. He's definitely for sure one of the best in the wrestlers. I mean,
without question. Without question.
Let me see. Let me go. My guy Ben right here. Are you tired of Goldberg?
Yes.
Yes.
I'm not. I like Goldberg, so I'm tired of Goldberg being in title matches. I'll say. I don't like that.
I mean,
they pretty much bring him back with no storyline build up. He just gets title matches. Like if you're gonna bring him back, I prefer that they bring him back like what they did with Brock. Like do something like with a story.
The problem is Goldberg doesn't really work out that much. The man's gas after one spear. And not counting the match against Lashley because I didn't see it. His last two Saudi Arabia matches before Lashley ruined the Fiend and damn near killed the Undertaker.
Yeah.
Bill Goldberg being in a title picture of any kind at this stage in his career is utterly ridiculous.
Yeah, I'd much rather see him come back and not do anything in the title picture. If you're gonna bring him back, at least do a storyline that doesn't involve the title. You know what I mean? Like, why does he have to be in every title match? Like, doesn't make any sense.
Facts.
You could have Goldberg versus Randy Orton. That's Legend Killer. Bring back the Legend Killer Randy Orton. You know what I'm saying? To go against Goldberg. That's a story right there.
Here's the funny thing. When Goldberg first came back to do the first feud with Lesnar, I wasn't excited for it, but up in Survivor Series, it worked. My problem when they took the title off Kevin Owens. And the thing is, Lesnar and Goldberg didn't need the title. You could have easily had another match because those two names sell themselves. And you want to sold Goldberg and Owens and Jericho short, a feud that was the best built feud going to WrestleMania 33 that was second on the card.
Right.
Yeah. What can Roman really do if he doesn't have a title now? It's a good question. So when eventually Roman's going to lose the title. What do you guys think his character would be like without the title?
I don't think we'll ever find out, at least not in the next year. I think he's going to retain through WrestleMania 39.
I really don't see him dropping the title at the Brock. I really don't. I mean, maybe if he does drop the title eventually, I don't know who, he'll take some time off. But I really don't know.
I honestly think Brock could be him at WrestleMania. From what I heard, he was probably going to beat him at day one. From what I was hearing, so I could see Brock winning at WrestleMania. I had predicted though that I think Roman Reigns could hold the title for 2 years. We haven't seen a world champion hold the title for 2 years since I think Pedro Morales.
Yep.
And I think they could have him pass up Pedro's record and become number 3 on the all-time list behind Bruno. Was it Bruno, Bob Backlund, and Hulk Hogan?
That would be, yep. He put him at 4th. Yep.
And he'll be at the 4th spot. So I mean, that's historic right there. Like Roman Reigns is getting a world title push that we haven't seen since the 80s. Like we have not seen a world champion get pushed like this since Hulk Hogan. So I think they might aim for it. I don't really know though, because it's like WWE doesn't really have that many superstars as they used to. So how many people can Roman really beat in that time frame? You know what I mean?
You're 100% right. There's not enough logical people to take the belt off.
So that's another thing. How many people can he beat that he hasn't already beaten? I mean, he hasn't faced Drew McIntyre yet for the title, so that's something that we still haven't gotten. And technically, I mean, he did lose to Seth at the Royal Rumble, even though it was disqualification. So that could be an instant rematch right there. That would make sense.
Yep.
Is anyone else upset that they're not following through on that? Like, you have Roman and Seth tell a great story. Roman got disqualified. It's like WWE has not acknowledged it once.
Yeah. Roman could face Randy Orton. There's a story there, because Orton to become a 15-time champion. So you could do that. They haven't done that yet. But there's really nothing else. I mean, he's pretty much facing everybody else. He's beating everybody else. So
nobody left.
It's getting limited. He's beating Cena. He's beating Lesnar. He's more likely going to beat Goldberg. So that's another add. He beat Bryan, Edge. He beat Cesaro. I mean, we're getting down to the wire. You know what I mean? So that many people that he can continue to beat, but
and everyone you could have built up from NXT, you fucking released. Bronson Reed, Karrion Kross, and Keith Lee could have been viable contenders, but no, you released them for no reason.
Yeah, and Jeff Hardy too. He was going to be facing Roman too. They got right. They because of all the controversy that was happening with him. So
And then the controversy didn't happen because the drug test came back clean.
Yeah, so Jeff Hardy can't be on there, and he turned down the opportunity to come back. So, I mean, you do have guys in NXT like Braun Breaker, who I think is going to be pushed to one of their next top stars, but he's not there right now. You know what I mean? So it's like you can't really see it. They do have Gable Stevenson too, the Olympic gold medals they signed, which I do believe they're going to push heavily too because Kurt Angle's career.
That's a fact.
And he's super young, super athletic, so he has potential too. And he could be somebody that, I mean, people may not see it now, but I mean, people probably didn't see it from Curtingo in the beginning. And Curtingo, he won the WWE title within like 8 months of being in the company. So I mean, it could happen. And so I wouldn't sleep on that idea.
Yep.
I wouldn't sleep on that idea. This question is for me. What is your top 10 favorite Raw matches of all time? Ooh, I know 2 for sure. I got 2 for sure. Favorite Raw matches of all time.
I don't know. I don't know if I can give you 10 off the top of my head, but I can give you a few. Shawn Michaels versus John Cena, Raw in London. John Cena versus CM Punk, WrestleMania 29. No one can this match. The Rock versus Mankind, January 4th, 1999.
Yeah.
What else we got? See, that's the hard part with these, like these type of things you gotta plan out. Like I'm just naming. What else we got?
I do. Let me think. I do. One I'll throw in there would be the street fight between Shawn Michaels and Edge in 05. They had. I'll put that one on my favorites. I do love that match.
What else?
Shawn Michaels and Triple H in 03 when Shawn won the world title and then the double pin.
That was classic.
That match was amazing.
I don't know if I'm forgetting some too. Like I probably think Jeff Hardy and Undertaker's ladder match.
Yeah, Hardy Undertaker's ladder match is on there.
I think from personal reasons, because I was there for it. The ladder match Jeff Hardy had with Johnny Nitro on Raw was good too, and that's because I was there.
That's a good one right there. Shawn versus Ray on the Eddie Guerrero tribute show. That was a good match. That was a damn good one actually. Daniel Bryan and Randy Orton had a good match too on Raw. I think like 2013, the no DQ match.
I remember when the fan told the ref to ring the bell and Randy went off on the fan. That was hilarious. The hell, I don't forget. We're forgetting a lot.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. I was trying to narrow it down. I think of some other one trying to narrow it down.
Oh, here's one that I know it's not going to get a lot of people probably won't talk about, but I thought it was a great one. I think it was like in '94. Bret Hart versus the 1-2-3 Kid for the WWE title. Even though it ended the draw, Shawn Michaels and Kurt Angle's Iron Man match was pretty good on Raw Homecoming.
Yeah, that was a 30-minute Iron Man match. That was pretty good too. That one was you said Raw Homecoming. That was on the Raw Homecoming show. That was a pretty good one. I did like that.
I think an underrated one. John Cena and Seth Rollins match for U.S. title. The match when Rollins broke Cena's nose was pretty good.
Oh, John Cena versus Cesaro on the U.S. title open. That was amazing.
Yes, that match was amazing.
That was amazing.
You can throw a lot of Cena U.S. Open challenges in there, but that was the best one.
Yeah, that U.S. Open challenge, that match with Cesaro was top notch.
That was amazing.
I have to make a video about that. Charlotte versus Sasha Banks. Yep, that was a good one too.
Which one? They had a few. The first one,
the one with Sasha one where she made her tap out in the stands in the audience.
Oh, the false count anywhere one.
Yeah, that was a good one. That was a good one.
What else?
A lot of good Raw matches, man. A lot of good Raw. You want to throw out some suggestions, Sean, before we move on?
Well, I'm gonna go Rock and Triple H the night after Unforgiven '99. I thought that was excellently done. Bad ending, but excellent match.
Oh, yeah, another match that I did like too. I don't know about that, but Austin and Kane. I thought they had a good match on Raw. When Kane dropped the title back to Austin, and after
that was pretty good. Man, I wish I was around. That was '98. Might be my favorite year of Raw. '98 to 2000.
And that 98 was a crazy year, bro. I was only 1 year. I was only one, so I mean I don't really have any recollection, but
I was negative 2 years old.
98 Raw was pretty legendary. I'm not gonna lie. Shawn lived through it, so he's lucky man. He got to experience it.
Well, right now I'm about to let you guys go, bro. I gotta get this kid. He's getting up, calling my name, so I'm gonna have to holler at y'all.
No problem, man.
All right, appreciate it, man.
I'll take 2 more questions for you guys. You guys got 2 more questions. Drop it in the comments.
Give us something good. Give us something good.
See, his legacy's already solidified. That's true. That's true. Right, you got to stay. I mean, I feel with you. I mean, but all the top guys get the push eventually, man. So I mean, you know, all the top guys get that push. Can you see Dominic and Ray having a feud? I can't
Ray,
eventually.
I think Ray said he wants to have a feud with Dominic, but I mean, you never know. I think they'll do it eventually, but I think that's something like Ray might retire on.
Yeah, I heard that Ray wants to he wants to pass the mask, or I guess he'll unmask and pass the mask on to his son or something like that whenever he's ready to retire. But they have to build Dominic up the right way though. Like right now he's not there. But
He's not ready yet, and that's fine. He's still young. I mean, I'm surprised, not surprised, but they're doing the showcase mode revolving around Rey Mysterio this year. Now, like, I don't play the new WWE games, but I'm always interested to see how the showcase cutscenes look because I want to see how, like, you doing showcase match. I want to see how they compare to real life. So after the game comes, we're gonna watch a showcase cutscenes. How we do that?
yeah, I got the game, so I'm gonna play it. I am interested in the showcase mode because they said that. I know they have the Eddie Guerrero match at WrestleMania, and the ladder match, I believe, is on there. And the match with Shawn Michaels at the Homecoming is on there as well. And
I know that's the.
his match with Undertaker is on there as well at Royal Rumble. I know they said that one.
Here's a question: if they count WCW, because you gotta do the Halloween Havoc match with Eddie.
Yeah, I think they've only given away a little bit. They haven't given away too much, so they've only given away a little bit. But I mean, they said they expect a lot of Eddie Guerrero matches in there, because Eddie's a big part of his career. So.
Ray actually said that ladder match with Eddie was his favorite WWE match. His favorite WWE match he ever had.
Yeah, that ladder match that's the second best match they had behind Halloween Havoc to me. I think they said another Ray match. I know they said Undertaker Royal Rumble. There's another one I can't remember though.
They'll probably have WrestleMania 22.
This is a good one. Thoughts on Cena destroying his title reign? What do you think about that?
WWE shouldn't have rushed CM Punk. The original plan was actually to do, I think, Ray and Cena at SummerSlam, but they rushed Punk back, so they had him drop the title that night. That was just stupid. And I think an actual SummerSlam title match between Ray and Cena could have actually drawn because they're both popular stars.
We talk about best match on Raw. That was a good match on Raw too.
And that was a good ass match. I feel like a lot of people, and rightfully so, like the ending down it, but that was a good ass match.
It didn't really surprise me though, as far as like how it was booked and how it happened. I mean, the CM Punk thing was a little surprising. You know what I'm saying? Like, the CM Punk thing was a little surprising. Like when he came back, like that soon. But I wasn't really upset that Rey Mysterio lost like as many people were. It was just kind of like, I don't know. I just kind of really saw the writing on the wall with that. Last one right here. Do you think Riddle can be a main event star eventually?
I don't think his current version of his character can be a main event star. Even though I do like his character because I think he's actually pretty entertaining. But if they make him a heel, make him like a serious violent heel, I think he could be a main eventer.
I think he has potential. I mean, obviously, Randy Orton sees something in him. He's teamed up with him for the last little while. And I've heard that the company's high on him too. He brings a different aspect, a different type of charisma to the ring. You know what I mean? So I think he has potential to get there. Like I said, I don't know if his character though is going to be like top guy material character. People talk about how they didn't like Biggie in the main event spot because his character was too goofy. Well, Riddle's character is beyond that. So it's like,
I can't stand people who say that type of stuff. Like, oh, I don't like when main events are goofy. The Rock was goofy. John Cena was goofy.
Yeah, Seth Rollins right now is goofy. Like
Jericho was goofy. Like they didn't have a problem with them in the main event.
But I think Riddle has potential to get there, though. I think he does. It all just matters of. I mean, honestly, fans are a big part of it too. It depends on if the fans can really get behind him enough where he can get at least a little bit of steam. You know what I mean? Because fans will turn on you like that. So I mean,
which is why WWE doesn't push anyone we like because as soon as they do, you start turning on them. Literally, I think Becky was probably the only person who fans didn't turn against. Like even now with her being a heel, fans don't boo her.
All right, we're gonna head off. Do I live stream on Twitch every week? I do at least live stream at least 2 or 3 times a week. I try to. So yes, I'll be on the stream tomorrow too. So tomorrow I'll be back with another stream. But I do try to stream at least 2 or 3 times a week. So yeah, be on the lookout for that, man. Make sure you guys go follow my guy Kyron on all social media platforms, Kyron Chase. And appreciate you guys for dropping the questions in here. I didn't get to everybody's question, but I'm scrolling up and I see a lot of people leaving their thoughts and opinions and questions. So appreciate you guys for watching, tuning in. You all be safe. Have a nice day. And I'll be back tomorrow. So be on the lookout for tomorrow.